As to count 4, we, the jury, in the above entitled action, find defendant Corey Ali Muhammad guilty.
First on our list is 36-year-old Travis McMichael, 66-year-old Gregory McMichael, and 52-year-old William Roddy Bryan were convicted of committing a federal hate crime in February 2020, a crime that deeply affected the Brunswick community and became a catalyst for a broader national conversation on racial injustice. On the 23rd of February in 2020, 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery went for a jog in Santilla Shores, Georgia, with no knowledge whatsoever that his life would be cut short by 3 racist white males. The McMichaels, Travis and Gregory, armed themselves with guns and used a pickup truck to pursue him as he ran past their residence. They chased him through a neighborhood in Georgia and blocked his route as he tried to flee before fatally shooting him as he tried to defend himself. William, another neighbor, also joined the pursuit in his own truck, but instead of contacting the authorities, he decided to record the entire ordeal with his cell phone.
We've had a string of burglaries. I was leaving the neighborhood, and I just caught a guy running into a house being built 2 houses down from me.
No arrest was made for 6 long months after Ahmaud was killed because the GCPD had received a directive from the Waycross District Attorney, George Barnhill, and the Brunswick District Attorney's Office on 2 occasions not to make any arrests. It wasn't until the video of Ahmaud's murder went viral on social media and caused an uproar that the 3 men were finally arrested in November 2021 and charged to court. But to defend themselves, they claimed that they had mistaken Arbery for a burglar. However, this claim is questionable since an actual robbery would have prompted an alarm. Moreover, investigators discovered that Arbery was unarmed and did not possess any stolen items. During the court proceedings, Wanda Cooper Jones, Arbery's mother, expressed her ongoing pain, stating that she feels the impact of every shot fired at her son, and surprisingly, Gregory McMichael acknowledged her loss and described it as beyond description. Travis, on the other hand, chose not to address the court directly, leaving his attorney, Amy Lee Copeland, to make his case. Copeland argued for a lighter sentence, referencing the case of Derek Chauvin, the Minneapolis police officer convicted of violating George Floyd's civil rights, and pointed out that Chauvin had received a relatively lenient 21-year prison sentence, though in his case, he was not charged with racially targeting Floyd. Sadly, that defense didn't work, as prosecutors presented approximately 24 text messages and social media posts as evidence, revealing racist slurs and derogatory comments about black people that Travis and Bryan had previously made. All 3 defendants were found guilty of attempted kidnapping by a federal jury, while the McMichaels were found guilty of using firearms in the commission of a violent crime and violating Arbery's civil rights.
First verdict form I have is the state of Georgia versus Travis McMichael. Mr. McMichael, please stand. In the Superior Court of Glenn County, state of Georgia, the state of Georgia versus Travis McMichael, count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty.
Following that, a Superior Court judge sentenced Travis and Gregory to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole.
As to Gregory McMichael, the state of Georgia versus Greg McMichael. We, the jury, find the defendant, Greg McMichael, guilty. This 24th day of November, 2021, signed by the foreperson.
But gave William a lighter sentence of 35 years imprisonment.
As to William R. Bryan, in the Superior Court of Glenn County, state of Georgia, state of Georgia versus William R. Bryan, count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, William R. Bryan, not guilty. Count 3, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, William R. Bryan, guilty.
Surprisingly, however, they requested to serve their sentences in a federal prison because they were concerned about their safety, but unfortunately, that plea was denied. Thankfully, Ahmaud didn't die for nothing, as his case led to the introduction of hate crime legislation in Georgia, which will prevent the unjust death of other people. Our next KKK member appears to be a sweet and fragile old man living on an oxygen tank, but his actions are beyond delicate or sweet. Edgar Ray Killen was known as a sawmill operator and part-time Baptist minister, but all of these were a facade, as he was also moonlighting as a KKK leader. The chilling tale begins in the lesser-known Philadelphia, Mississippi, and dates back to 1964, and at the time, he faced mounting opposition with the rise of the Civil Rights Act, which was gaining more and more supporters others, including his victims, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner. They had all been arrested for speeding one night, but instead of spending the night behind bars, the trio were released on the same night, but they didn't make it to their homes. Under the orders of Edgar Ray Killen, some KKK members were waiting to kill them after their release. Their bodies were later discovered, and their wagons were found in flames, dubbing the case Mississippi Burning, which is better known as My Burn. Killen was initially arrested for the murders, but was soon released based on his reputation as a preacher. It wasn't until 2005 when a former KKK messenger, Mike Hatcher, testified to the court that Killen had boasted about the three killings only a day after they occurred. Despite his age of 80, Killen faced a 7-day trial charged with manslaughter instead of the murder of the three men. Finally, the verdict came down, and Edgar Ray Killen was sentenced to a total of 60 years in prison, each manslaughter charge carrying a 20-year sentence.
It's a sentence of this court that you serve 20 years in the custody of the Mississippi Department of Corrections.
Sadly, he did not serve the full extent of his punishment, as he died in 2018 at the ripe age of 92 at the Mississippi State Penitentiary after serving only 12 years of his sentence. In May 2017, Jeremy Christian was on a public train in Portland, Oregon when he lost his cool, took the lives of 3 unarmed individuals, and fled the scene like nothing happened. Like many in metropolitan cities, the train had a diverse group of passengers from different ethnicities and religions, but this seemed to trigger Christian, who unleashed a racist frenzy of ranting insults and death threats. However, 2 passengers, Talishan Mirdan Namkai Mesh and Micah David Cole Fletcher, stepped in to stop Christian and chastise aggressive and racist behavior. Little did they know that Christian was harmed. He quickly pulled out a knife and stabbed one of the men confronting him, Micah David Cole Fletcher, as well as another passenger named Ricky Best, and then he fled the scene as if he had not just taken the lives of 2 individuals. 3 years later, in 2020, Christian's trial commenced, and similar to many killers and racists, he had a dirty and violent history. This included testimonies from over 40 witnesses, revealing additional charges against Christian, such as assaulting a black woman in the eye with a Gatorade bottle and targeting teenage girls, one of whom wore a hijab. The gravity of Christian's crimes left survivors traumatized, and Micah Cole Fletcher, the only survivor, expressed the haunting nightmares he experienced, including one where he drowns in a tunnel slowly filling with blood. The police and the courts faced an immense challenge as they charged Christian with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 2 counts of second-degree intimidation, 3 misdemeanors, and 1 count of possessing a restricted weapon, and he was sentenced to 2 life sentences with no chance of parole, in addition to 51 years for his other crimes. However, that didn't stop him from threatening to kill one of the victim's relatives during his hearing. Next up, we have Russell Courtier, who is accused of committing an unthinkable murder, an act so despicable that it defied comprehension, sent shockwaves through the community, and left a lasting scar on the hearts of many. It all began when Courtier began a random fight with Lionel Bruce Jr. outside a 7-Eleven store. However, it soon escalated beyond a fight when CCTV cameras captured Courtier getting behind the wheel of his girlfriend's Jeep as if possessed by an evil force and brutally ran Lionel over. Therefore, it wasn't so surprising when Courtier's affiliation with the European Kindred, a white supremacist prison, was revealed. In fact, he had brazenly tattooed the group's logo on his heart and on his leg as proof of his allegiance to the group. Soon after his hat was found at the crime scene and the CCTV footage was released, he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release for 28 years. His girlfriend, Colleen Hunt, who was in the car at the time of the crime and had reportedly been cheering him on, was charged with first-degree manslaughter. Despite this hefty sentence, the anguish of Lionel's family remained palpable. His mother had addressed the court.
And we'd like to make awareness to donation because our son saved 5 lives. 5 lives, fathers, mothers, an aunt.
As well as Courtier, stating that he allowed the devil to misguide him and steal the life of a beautiful long spirit.
We had the jury find the defendant as count 1 murder guilty, second degree guilty.
Finally, we have Corey Muhammad, a name that sent shockwaves through the city of Fresno in 2017. Corey Muhammad, also known as Corey Ali Muhammad, was responsible for a series of shootings that took place in April of that year. These incidents, later known as the 2017 Fresno shootings, left several innocent people dead and an entire community mourning. Corey Muhammad's crime spree began on April 13, 2017, when he shot and killed Carl Williams, a 25-year-old security guard in the parking lot of a Fresno motel.
Every time I close my eyes, I could see my son and wish that I could have been there to save him.
But just a day after the initial shooting, on April 14, he targeted 3 more victims in the downtown Fresno area. He was seemingly chosen his victims at random, including David Jackson, a 58-year-old utility worker who was his first victim, followed by Mark Gassett, a 37-year-old father of 2, and Zachary Randalls, a 34-year-old Pacific Gas and Electric Company employee. Shockingly, it was revealed that Corey had a deep hatred towards white people and was specifically targeting individuals of that racial background. In his online posts, he made references to the Black Lives Matter movement and wrote about his anger and frustration regarding racial inequality and social injustices.
So let black people go with our own land and reparations. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell.
Following the spree of shootings, law enforcement agencies initiated a massive manhunt to apprehend Corey Muhammad. Consequently, he faced charges of 4 counts of murder and 2 counts of assault. However, he tried to feign insanity, but this was quickly disregarded, and Corey received a just sentence of 206 years in prison with no possibility of parole. The lives he destroyed cannot be replaced, but justice was served.